With a simple change of colour, you can get a completely different look. Let's try. Hello and welcome to another Take Two with Therese, and I have two beautiful, quick and easy floral backgrounds to share with you today. I'm using the Sweet Bouquet stamp, and one way to make a really fast design is to use what I like to call a pre-prepared bouquet. And being able to stamp a full bouquet in one stamp makes it very fast and easy. Having the coordinating stencils, these layering stencils, makes a big difference as well. If you want some speedy but beautiful cards, these are really good options. And what a great technique to have up your sleeve. Now, I'm using my stamp wheel here, just kind of tweaking the position of this bouquet to enable me to be able just to flip the stamp around on the stamp wheel, and in two stamps have an area that I can use to create a panel for the front of my card. I like to initially stamp my images with like a permanent black ink, but you could use a pigment ink if you prefer. And if you do use that, then maybe just hit it with the heat tool or wait a few minutes for the pigment ink to dry before you do your ink blending. Now this set of coordinating stencils is a layering set, and I love these layering sets of stencils from Altenew because they do give you lots of options. I'm actually leaving my image within the mat so that the stencil kind of sticks to the photopolymer layer, the grid layer, and I'm going to show you a little trick with this a little bit later on in the video, so hold on for that. But with these stencils you get lots of options because you can either partially ink blend, you can multicolor ink blend, you can layer ink blend. I've even watercolored through stencils as well. There are so many different ways to get a variety of looks for your flowers. Today I'm keeping it really simple. I am changing up my colors a little bit to get some more depth in these flowers. I'm only using 2 layers on each flower today. I did initially use my larger ink blending tool, but I didn't actually mask off enough areas, so then I learnt from my mistake and switched out to the smaller ink blending tool. And this is what I mean by changing up and getting a different look. So the first flower, I actually used the darker color that I did the second layer for the base color of the second flower. I hope that makes sense. So it means what I've done is I've got a lighter and a darker flower on each of my bouquets, yet I've kept the same colors throughout. And I will list all the colors that I've used today at the blog, and I'll have that linked in the description below this video. One of the things I love about this particular stamp set is the way that the leaves layer. It's actually got, instead of doing almost like a natural shadow, only half of the leaf is blended out with the second layer. And I just chose a nice dark green to go with that, and it looks really bold and beautiful. But of course you can blend it or colour it however you please. And the reason that I left my cardstock in the stamp wheel, well, the main reason was that I wanted to restamp it with my pigment ink, and by doing that it meant that it just crisps up the edges. This Obisidian ink has that real bold black finish, and it just does really bring your image to life. So if you've got a stamp positioning tool, this is a go-to technique that I think you will really like. Once you start doing it, you can't stop. I cut the panel down and added some foam tape, popped it up on the center of a A2 side fold card, and then added a sentiment from the One Go birthday greetings, which is heat embossed on some jet black cardstock. This is a great sentiment set because one stamp and one die cut gives you a stack of birthday sentiments. I love it. And I added a butterfly from the Meadow reflections set, which I had left over, I say that in inverted commas, from another card I made. So my second project today is monochromatic. I want to do a very similar design, so I'm using the same bouquet. Now what I've done here is stamp it out in some grey ink, and I'm protecting the surface here with some acetate because I'm trying to work out where I want this bouquet the second stamp to sit. I want to tuck it in to the edge of the first one as close as I can, but I still want to be able to sort of fill up the other gaps on this piece of cardstock. I like to work with a piece of cardstock that's bigger than what I need, because that way I can cut it down and use the portion that kind of suits my design in the end. But you could certainly work on a piece of A2 cardstock, that way you're not wasting so much. Now, one thing to note, this is a large stamp, a large piece of paper, so I did need to move the cardstock over and line up the stamp again, but I did actually find that the stamp kind of hung on to over the edges of the stamp wheel, and with a little bit of coaxing, I was still able to stamp the image perfectly. Now, this is what I meant when I said this is another way that I use the grid mat. Rather than try and keep it in place within the stage from the stamp wheel, I actually pull the grid mat out and use it directly on my workspace, and then I can use the stencils like I did before and add my colour. Well, when I say colour, I mean grey. And I'm using the mini blending tools again. This time I'm just adding colour almost only to the centre of the flowers and keeping it very light. The leaves themselves, I'm only adding that second layer. They did have a tint of green. I mean, I did actually wipe this stencil down, but obviously not well enough. And it did have that little tint of green to the grey ink, but I didn't hate that. I added a centre grey, the evening grey to the centre of these flowers, and also decided to add a bit of sparkle to them. This is some glass glitter. It's a sterling colour, and I think it just went really well with the grey. I had to wait for this to dry though. I used the Belly Arts glue, which is fairly quick drying, but it is quite a big blob of glue, and I didn't want to accidentally smudge it out. Now, when I want to cut down little strips of foam tape, I actually just get a piece of the foam tape from the roll, add it to some release paper, which is just the backing of old foam dots or whatever I have, and then I can just cut it with my scissors, and I don't end up with sticky scissors, and I can cut the pieces of foam as thin as I like. I've got the Waterbrush Hello Die that I've cut in some jet black cardstock, and I'll just pop that up on the front of the card. So the monochromatic look really has that wow factor. I think it has a really elegant look, and you could certainly do this in any combination of colours. It'd look really pretty done in pinks, I think, as well. And this is the bold, more colourful design that I did on the first card. Let me know in the comments below which one you liked the best today. I'd love to hear if you're going to try this technique of doing some bright colouring or some monochromatic colouring. Till next time, bye.
Hello there! Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye!